in my shine. They try to break me, try to take me out, but I got Jesus on my side. Felt so bad I thought I would die, but ain't no power stronger than the one that came and laid down his life. And I got mountains to climb, but the enemy can't stop me, cause there's a calling on my life. So when I'm crying, don't last too long, cause he gon' step in and make it alright. Won't he do it? Said he would. Fight your battles for you, they gon' wonder how you sleep at night. Won't he do it? Yes he will. Anybody tell you something different, you know that's a lie. You gon' look back and be so amazed how it turned out, it's only his grace. Won't he do it? He said he would, so I trust him at all times. I'm about to lose it again, I'm about to let him know where I'm from. Don't take me there again, I just call on Jesus, my friend. Get me back in line one more time, cause he's always listening. Ain't nobody perfect, everybody's hurting. Need your whisper, Lord, save me from my weaknesses, cause you're always on time. Come and get your breakthrough, cause I'm gon' get mine. Won't he do it? He said he would. Fight your battles for you, they gon' wonder how you sleep at night. Won't he do it? Yes he will. Anybody tell you something different, you know that's a lie. You gon' look back and be so amazed how it turned out, it's only his grace. Won't he do it? He said he would, so I trust him at all times. You see what the enemy planned for my downfall turned out to be the greatest victory of my life. Cause when it comes at you fast and hard, there's only one that could come and make it right. So ain't no need for stressing and crying, cause he gon' show up just like he did the last time. And the last time, and the last time, I know. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Yeah. He said he would. Fight your battles for you, they gon' wonder how you sleep at night. Won't he do it? Yes he will. Yes he will. Anybody tell you something different, you know that's a lie. You gon' look back and be so amazed how it turned out, it's only his grace. Won't he do it? He said he would, so I trust him at all times. Won't he do it? He said he would, so I trust him at all times. Won't he do it? Yes he will, so I trust him at all times. Won't he do it? I know he will, so I trust him at all times. So I trust him at all times.
You are tuned in to that praisey station, Praise.fm, where we get our praise on. 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Hello, everybody. Good night here from Phoenix, Arizona. We're so excited for Girl Shine Project Incorporated. We are celebrating life this month. I got my good friend Kim on the line tonight.
Hello.
But she's not driving and texting tonight. She's actually on. We're gonna get in the studio together one of these nights, because Dr. Rain is back in the studio. She's so excited, all her credentialing. One day you guys get to see on the other side of the camera and see what all she got going on. I'm so excited to have my pink sister on here tonight. For those of you all who don't know what it means to be a pink sister, it's a club that nobody wants to join. It's a sorority that no one wants to be a part of. But somehow, some way, we all are a part of this exclusive sorority of people who hold each other up and help each other through the process. So, as many of you already know, that October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And fortunately, we are survivors. We're not just surviving though, because you know what I say here on Girl Shine Project. Are you whining or are you thriving?
Thrive.
See, so we've gone from a place of survival to thriving. So here we are tonight. I just want to give a big shout out to Dr. Lady Rain, who makes it all happen. She's the owner and the producer for well, look like she's doing that too. She's owning Girl Shine right now in every part of my life. That's a whole nother thing. She says that we find work for her to do, but she actually finds work for us to do. We started off this conversation tonight with her asking me, was I ready for Saturday? Because Saturday marks the beginning of the rest of my life. I will be getting my PhD. Yay! In clinical, yes. In
Awesome.
clinical chaplaincy and also in pastoral psychotherapy. So I'm going to be a busy girl. Oh, see, y'all can't see what she got. She got her little chaplain shield. You know, you might want to, I can't hardly see you because, you know, I don't have my glasses. I can see the shield. I see the shield. Oh, I'm going to get mine. But see, she's showing me her little gifts and talents that, you know, her little stuff she got. I will be getting mine. And I just can't wait. I'm really excited about that. So that's going to open up so many more opportunities. I'm asking that anyone who want to join me in this wonderful program, ask me how. Go to my Facebook page. There's a picture of me with Heart Bible. Let me make sure I get it right. Dr. Rain, help me out. Heart Bible. Well, see, I can see the HBIU, but I want to say what it stands for. Heart Bible Institute University. See, this is one of those things that happens when you've had chemo. I still have a little bit of fog, so I'll mix things up. So that's the reason why I clarify. Yes, I do know where I'm going to school, but I want to make sure that I don't mix the words up. So that's why I got clarification. But before we get started good in here tonight, I want to give a couple of shout outs. I got my bestie on. Pastor Tammy's always on supporting. Got April Benson on this week. Minnie Manolia's on. Jeanette, Carmen, Ursula, maybe Willie. I'm not sure. I know Willie got class. Am I mixing anybody else, Kim? I mean, Miss Ann Easter is on. Who else am I missing?
Tiffany's on.
Everybody. Hey,
Tiffany.
Because I can't, for some reason, it won't let me see who's on.
Carla's on. April invited Carla.
Hi, Carla. Welcome to Girl Shine Project. This is the place where we shine rather than whine. That's what we do here. And what we do here is we take the little things that we go through in our lives and we illuminate it on the other side. We don't talk about our problems. We talk about our progress here on Girl Shine. So, having said that, I want to share a little bit about Praise.fm. If you want to do your own show, make sure you reach out to Lady Rain. There's plenty of opportunities to do that. It's a wonderful place. We're a wonderful family of believers, and you know, we operate like family, and that's what I appreciate. She finds all kinds of ways to help us expand, and I like that about her. It's not about her. And you know, and that's what we're doing. We build each other up. We are sisterhood in this thing. I promote what Kim's doing. Kim does her shows on Saturday. She's got Under the Scope. We celebrate each other, and that's what I like. She comes on here and help me out, and when I remember, I go on there and support what she's doing. So we just got lots of things going on. Tanya's doing some great things in the mountain of education. She is an educator, and I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about herself. Tanya, say hello. Give a shout out to anybody you've shared this with. We're just excited to have you on here tonight. I've been looking forward to this.
Yep, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I finally was able to get on and you guys can hear me, so
yes,
I'm excited about that.
Yes.
But it's an honor to be on Praise FM and to be with Andrea. We have a little bit of history going back, and I'm pretty sure she'll share part of it. I don't know if you want me to tell my
You can
story yet,
tell your
or
story. That's what it's about. That's why you are here tonight, to share your
okay.
story.
Okay. Well, I'll do the introduction part first. So I am originally from Georgia. So you guys that are from Georgia, shout out to you. I think I might have some family on right now. I did send out a message. I can't see who's on right now. And if you are on, if you can just write a comment or something, so we'll know that you're on. I just can't see right now. But from Georgia, I am from a military background. Most of my family is military. My husband was military. But anyways, I am an educator. I've been in education for 15 years and went through being a teacher and multiple grade levels. I'm currently a assistant principal at a local elementary school here in Buckeye, Arizona.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Yay! Buckeye, Arizona.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know what else to tell, but getting into my story. You want me to get into my story, Andrea?
I mean, you flow with, you do you, boo. However you want to share.
Okay. So I'm going to try to keep this short. My story started a long time ago in 2007 and 8. And I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but I went through breast cancer in 2008, which was considered stage 0. So at that time, I didn't go through chemotherapy. I didn't know a lot about what I was going through. I was super young when I went through it, and just about every person that I saw when I was going through my appointments and everything were much older than me. But at that time, I was clueless on what I was going through. I didn't have a specialist doctor. And just to go a little bit further back, my mother had breast cancer. So my mother had already went through it. And the only reason that I went and got checked, which was 2 years after my mom had it, is I was telling myself for 2 years, I need to go get checked. I need to go get checked. And I always tell people, I know that it was God that told me, hey, it's time. And I went and got checked, and I found it very early. Like I said, the doctor said that it was stage 0. So at the time, Dr. King, cancer, but it is. So went through that, and then fast forward 2017, I found a lump on the same side. So I went through breast cancer again, but this time, being a lot older, about 9-10 years later, I decided I want to make sure that, I know what I'm going through this time. I had a specialist and decided right off the bat, talked to my husband, I don't want to just do a lumpectomy. I don't want to just, pat this on the back and be wondering what's going on. So I decided to have a double mastectomy, which was life-changing. And I know Andrea can tell you, a lot about that, but it was life-changing for me. Just going to the doctor and sitting there, and for a doctor to tell you that, and knowing that you had already been through it before, but then being intentional and knowing that God had my back and he was going to walk me through it. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was angry.
Oh yeah.
I was angry when I found out that I had it. I was like, why me? And, I had my little pity party. Didn't want to go through this. I knew that it was a lot more serious than before, especially since I had found a lump. But went through it, had a lot of people that were very supportive behind me and protected me. And one of the things that got me through it is I had to be intentional about the people around me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times when you're going through something like this, people don't know what to say. And sometimes people will say really negative things that, get in your mind and cause you to have other issues because you start dwelling on those negative things that people are telling you.
Yeah.
So I started being really intentional about the people that were around me. And, I didn't want to hear the negative stories. I didn't want to hear about their aunts and other people in their family that had passed away or that had a hard time, you know, with chemo. Because people would tell you all of that. They will tell you all of that. And I didn't want to hear all of that. So I started being really intentional about the people that were around me and making some steps to stay in my word, to, you know, cover my mind and be really intentional about what I was going through and knowing what I was going through. Mm-hmm. So I went through it. I did a double mastectomy. I did reconstruction surgery, all of that. I closed in for a long time when I went through it. So people that are close to me know that, which means that the people that were able to come see me were really just the people that I was like, okay, it's okay for you to come see me. Yeah. I closed in not because I was ashamed or anything, but I closed in because of what I was saying before. I wanted to be intentional about the people that were around me. Yeah. And especially since I had went through it before, because people that knew that I had went through it before, some of them would say negative things because it was the second time. So I'm trying not to be emotional about this, but yeah, it was a tough time. It was a tough time, but I'm just thankful that God gave me the wisdom to be intentional about the people around me. And even after I went through it, and once I, decided, okay, now I need to start, coming out and telling my story, I started doing some different things. Even when I was going through the chemotherapy, when I was sitting in the room getting my chemo, I would notice people around me, and I was super sensitive about the people around me. Even though I was going through what I was going through, I was super sensitive about the people around me, and I started making baskets for the people around me and giving them gifts. Didn't want anything in return, just wanted them to know that, they were loved and that they would get through it, even though I was going through it. So I did things like that, and one of the things that someone had brought to my attention, hey, this is, you're a warrior, you're strong. I want you to go do a photo shoot. Mm-hmm. So I ended up doing a photo shoot, and that's the picture one of the pictures that you guys see that Andrea put on the brochure. What do you call it? But anyways, I had to start doing things that lifted me up and caused me to keep a really positive mind, because it was a hard time. It's hard, and people talk about it and they talk about the bad parts about it, but I'm thankful that God gave me this testimony. I mean, it's hard to go through something like that, but I'm thankful that He gave me this testimony, that I can be, a beacon for other people that's going through it, and I can tell my story, and that people can know that regardless of what you're going through, you can get through it, and there's a reason for it. As tough as it can be. So. And
the interesting thing about the whole breast cancer thing is you can have 20 people that have the same exact diagnosis, and even with the whole PET scan or however the ultrasound, it could all say the same thing, but everybody's journey is different. That's what's so unique about the cancer journey. But what I do, I shouldn't say like it, because there's no liking the cancer journey. But even through all the hard times, like you said, that you had to be at chemo. You had the things you had to do. And rather than sitting there feeling sorry for yourself while you were there, you decided to be an inspiration to other people. And when we come back, I can't believe it's almost time for break already. The time go by so fast. Wow. We do a break at 8:00. But it's so interesting, because when I would sit in chemo sometimes, and I'd look around at all the other people in there, and there's a sister actually who I'm not going to say she lost her battle. People say that. I don't think she lost her battle. I just think that it was her time to go. And for those who knew her, she attended our church. Her name was Brenda Stephens. Um, I never knew why I was talking to her. I knew she had breast cancer. I didn't know I had breast cancer. It was in my body. I just didn't know. But we were drawn to each other, and we had a mutual friend who didn't even go to our church. Our husbands worked together when we were in the Air Force, and they were best friends. And when she started coming to our church, I still remember the night she came to a corporate prayer. We used to have corporate prayer on Friday nights. And she was at a corporate prayer, and she said, hey, my best friend knows you. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, because she was older than us. So I'm trying to figure out, well, who could it be that knows me that know her? And it turns out she's a Pink sister also. Her name is Yvette Barkley. And that was her best friend. And it's just funny how God will position people in different places.
That's right.
I'm like, okay, I know these people, they've had breast cancer. And you kind of watch their life, not knowing that the Lord has you zero in on what's going on in their life, because one day you're going to need them to help guide you through your process. And you just never know why
That's
God,
right.
putting people's stuff. I remember your photo shoot. I actually remember you reaching out to me because you knew we took pictures, and you would, getting different estimates, not
Right.
knowing that, okay, while later I'm going to need to connect
right.
with her because of her journey. And
Right.
interestingly enough, when I found out I had breast cancer, Tanya was the first person I reached out to, because I knew she had already gone before me. And
Right.
everybody's story is different. And I don't know what she looks like up under her clothes. I'm one of these people that I'm an open book. I remember my husband thinking one time, I was up at church and I'm giving my testimony, and I'm talking about, literally, I was back at church. I still had my drains in when I went back to church. And he just, because he knew I had been taking pain meds, so he was just afraid, like, oh, I'm just doing this. He thought I was getting ready to do this. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. But if it meant, I wouldn't do it in the sanctuary, obviously. But I am not ashamed of that part. And I understand
Right.
everybody has their own thing. But this is the thing. I was one of these people who was so ashamed of my body and would never show it. But since my cancer victory, I'm totally not like that. I'm the type that I'll just take my top off and you can see, because I want people to know what's on the other side of it. There is life after cancer. And no,
Right.
my body will never look like it did before. My breasts will
Right.
never look like, and my reconstruction journey is nothing like Tanya's. I'm still in the process of, I'm 5 surgeries later, I'm still having reconstruction. And the whole thing, we got like 2 minutes. The whole thing about the things that people say, although well-meaning, they don't mean anything by it. They just don't know what to say. They either
Right.
go real dark on you and don't, you
Right.
find out, you look around and you're just kind of like, well, where did everybody go? It's like they'll scatter,
Right. That's true.
or and you just kind of notice people are afraid, like they think you're fragile, so they don't know what to say, so they don't say anything, and then they'll kind of ghost on you. Or
Right.
you have the people who are constantly, is there anything I can do? They're over on the other side because they're trying to be extremely supportive, and it's just hard kind of managing that. You go through so many different emotions during that
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
And you will ask, okay, you go through all the stages of grief and all the different things, and everybody does it at different times. But when we come back, I would like for Tanya, I'd like for you to share a little bit about the baskets, because that's kind of how our journey started. She asked me for my address, and all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, before I ever went to chemo, there was this package that showed up at my house with all the things that she thought I might need that would be helpful.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of my whole Real Talks with Dre. So actually, you had a lot to do with my whole Girl Shine project and this show that I'm doing. That was the beginning of that.
Oh,
By
wow.
you sending me that care package. So you just never know what kind of impact you're going to have on the rest of somebody's life.
It's true.
You never know. So while
True.
we're talking about that, and you all already know what song you're going to listen to, it's always about testimony, because I just feel like we need to be reminded that no matter what happens in our lives, you always have a testimony. God is there if you're in the hospital, courtroom, on your job, at the bank, wherever you need him to be. He can be. He has so many different names. He's Jehovah Rapha to some, Jehovah Tsidkenu to others, Jehovah Shalom when you need peace, when you need protection, he's that. Whatever it is you need from God, no matter what's going on in your house. So that's why I play this song every week, because we need to be reminded that no matter what it looks like in the natural, or even what it feels like in the spiritual realm, you always gonna come out with a testimony. So don't go away. Stay in here with us tonight, because Tanya, I want to talk a little bit more about how she got through the process on the other side of it. So we'll be back in a few minutes. God bless, and we'll see you in a few. Don't sign off.
You're redeemed. You're redeemed from the hand of the enemy. Yeah. Here we go. Whether it's in the courtroom, fighting in the boardroom, trying to feed your family, or kicked out underneath you. God's able. God is more than able. You can turn the table. So turn and tell your neighbor, now it's time for you to turn the favor.
inspirational radio show? Have you been called to inspire and spread God's word? Please contact Alicia Rain for more info.
Unprecedented times calls for unprecedented measures. Be the best in these virtual times.
Get a college accredited certification as a digital media technician,
where you can learn technical podcast, radio board up,
live stream remote, video editing,
or record your next hit song.
Taught
at the Academy of
Uni ETV and Radio.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We're talking about being thrivers. I've got my great friend on here, Tanya, who is my pink sister. Like I said earlier, this is not the type of sisterhood that you want. But before we get back into the discussion, I want to give a shout out to my sister, Tangi, my blood sister, Tangi, and my baby sister, Leroyce. They're both were on watching. I appreciate it. Tangi's actually in Georgia. She lives in Atlanta. So we got the 3-hour time difference. So I know that this is definitely, for her to be on tonight is a stretch. So I do appreciate you all being on tonight. Trina's on, Gina, Brittany, Virginia, Miss Georgia, Precious, Bowie, Stephanie Johnson. I gave the shout outs to the other ladies that was on before the break, and I'm giving my second group of shout outs. I appreciate you all every Tuesday night hanging out with us here at Girl Shine Project. This is the place where we don't whine, instead we shine. So that's what we're going to be doing in 2021. I started in 2020 where I'm not whining, I'm shining.
That's right.
Because whining gets us nowhere. All it does is keep us stuck. But when we start shining through some things, we move forward. Got Tanya on here tonight because for those of you all who are not aware, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so I wanted to bring her on. I'll be carrying this on beyond October. I'll periodically have thrivers on the show to kind of share, their journey. And I had Tanya first because Tanya was the first person that I reached out to when I found out I had breast cancer, because I had watched a little bit of her walk through Facebook. Tanya's a worshiper. For those of you all who know her on Facebook, her name is Free and Worship. That's her Facebook name. And there's one thing about the journey. You will learn how to worship God. You will do one of two things. Either you will embrace him at a whole nother level, because or sometimes you see some people who pull away because of the anger. And everybody goes through these emotions. I don't care how anointed we are and how holy we think we are. When you get a diagnosis that there is no cure for, there is no cure for cancer. And unfortunately, cancer is one of those things that it's unpredictable. That's the whole challenge with cancer. Breast cancer, they've made leaps and bounds, but unfortunately, people still die from cancer. Women die every day. And unfortunately, those in our culture are more apt to die from breast cancer than people of other cultures. So for me, it's not something that ran in my family. I'm actually the first one in my bloodline, my direct bloodline, to have breast cancer. So this was not anything on my radar. Interestingly enough, though, some months prior to me getting the diagnosis, I knew something was up. I didn't know it was bad. And I'm not going to say I felt the lump, because at first I didn't. Wasn't nowhere in my thought process or anything. I wasn't thinking about cancer at all. But oddly enough, I had this little funny place at the bottom part of my right part of my stomach that had this little itch that you just couldn't scratch. And I'm a Googler. So I'm one of those people that I love information. So I'm going to try to find out everything I possibly can find out. And oddly enough, it was tied to cancer, some weird way. I remember Googling it and finding that, you should get checked for cancer. But who would ever think that a little itch in the bottom part of your stomach that's not even connected, and there's no cancer in my stomach, but funny, that was oddly, that's where I had like a little tingle, that it would just tingle there. God has an interesting way of making us aware. If we learn.
You cut out.
That's
It cut out. All right. Did it? Yeah, okay. All right, everyone. So Pastor Dre will be right back. Tanya, thanks for sharing your story while Pastor Dre's coming back in.
I'm actually back.
All right, so you back so fast. I wanted
was
to
fast.
just let you know that that Tammy gave you a message, Tanya, saying that the second time you went through, you were such a warrior,
Oh.
stronger
Yeah.
than ever.
And I think that had a lot to do with number one, I was much older than the first time. The first time I didn't know the questions to ask. The first time the doctor that took care of me was not a specialist in breast cancer. He was a general surgeon. So he didn't know a lot about breast cancer. He didn't know a lot about women, in breast cancer at all. So I think the second time was just the wisdom that God gave me with being a little bit older. And I think, like Andrea said earlier, God will place people around you.
Mm-hmm.
My mom had it, but also my mother-in-law, and my
Wow.
mother-in-law lives with me.
So you had it on both
Wow.
sides.
So
Wow.
I had people around me not knowing, because like my mother-in-law, she's a true warrior. She had it in
Wow.
80 something,
Oh,
and she's
Wow.
1980 something, and right now she's 82 years old. So she is a true
testimony.
warrior. Yeah.
Yes.
And she had went through, her battle, but I think God just knows what he's doing. I mean, we go through things, and we don't want to go through things, but God knows what he's doing, and he prepares us in a funny way, in a weird way, because we don't know what he's doing when he's doing it, and he'll put pieces and people and places that are right there, ready for us when we're going through whatever we're going through. So he's strategic about everything, intentional about everything.
He is. What we were talking a little bit during the break, we were talking about how until you get in that world, the cancer world is a whole different world medically. And even though we may have had people that we walked with in the process, until it's you really don't know all the nitty gritty of the world, because what we were kind of going back and forth about and discussing is, even though we know we're healed and the cancer isn't there, and I've shared throughout the months of doing the show how I'm on a bunch of Facebook forums, and at first I would be on it because I felt like I needed the support and the information, because you have all different kinds of groups. You have the integrated groups, you got the people who they're not into the chemo. There's different types of breast cancer, so you got all those different groups that are on there. You got the non-prayer, the non-religious groups versus the religious groups. I mean, there's just so many variations. The kinds of medications that you take, the medications you take before menopause versus after menopause. I mean, there's not tell you there's so many different variables. I was triple positive. Tanya, I don't believe was.
No.
See, so the treatment regimens are a little different. Whether you should have a hysterectomy or not. I mean, there's just so many different dynamics and schools of thought that go on with this whole culture. But the one thing I found was interesting that no one prepared me for was, you think that most people think that, okay, you either remove your breasts after chemo, radiation, you lose your hair grow back, and if you're still walking around and there's no metastasis, then you're fine. No, rarely, unless you are in someone's inner circle, and they are sharing the daily struggles that have to happen after. Yeah, there's life, and I choose to live my life. I'm not whining about it, but we just want to prepare people, give people information, because people
That's
don't
right.
know. I see so many women that comment about how their family, people get tired of your sickness, and their family, they've lost husbands, they've lost parents, they've lost siblings. People, after a while, they think, oh, you're fine. And they're like, okay, well, you go on with your life. Well, sometimes it's easier said than done, because just a simple thing as having a hip ache can spin a whole lot of other things. It comes up that I had breast cancer just to get my eyes checked. And not because I have vision issues necessarily. I mean, my knee hurts. So that creates a scan. It always comes up.
It is.
You can never really get it out of your head, because any appointment for anything
is
just
scary.
a regular well check.
Right.
It comes
Right.
up. So it's not like you ever get to forget that you had cancer. And so, Tanya, I mean, how have you managed that on the other side, the aches and the pains? How do you manage all of that?
That is a tough spot. It's a super tough spot, because it's true. When you go to your appointments, they're always looking for something. And sometimes I go to my appointments, and if it's a new doctor, I almost don't want to put that I had cancer, because I don't want them, prying and digging into things and trying to find something. Because you know how
always
the older generation always says, if you're looking for it, you'll find it. So I'm always like, I don't even want to tell them, but that is a battle, and I have to check my mind, and I have to keep my mind on what the word says, that I'm healed, because I do battle with that, and I struggle with that every time I go to the doctor. I don't like going to the doctor, but I do. And one of the things that I do want to impress on people that are listening is get your checkups. Go to the doctor, regardless of how you feel, because early detection is what saves us. And I know that Andrea said earlier how a lot of our people, they do succumb to different cancers faster than any other population. And a lot of that has to do with not checking yourself out, not listening to your body. Because I can think back, like the first time that I went and I got checked and they found something, I didn't notice anything. I was super young. I didn't notice anything. They found something when they did the mammogram. I didn't notice anything. But then as I got older and I started thinking about my past, there were things that were there that I didn't pay any attention to, because I did have like tingling in my breast.
See,
I did have like the crustiness around. I mean, I hate to be a little graphic.
No,
but I did.
This is keep it real. So no.
Yeah, I did have that.
Here.
And those are things that sometimes we just say, we don't pay attention to. We have to listen to our bodies as women. When something's wrong or something seems a little off, we have to go and get it checked out. Because if we get it checked out early enough, then we're going to be fine. And yes, we're fine. And yes, in the back of our mind, we struggle with going to the doctor and getting our checkups after the fact of going through cancer and things.
Yeah.
Yes, we are fine. But we're being real that it is a struggle, and it is hard.
That's real talk.
And there is always in the back of your mind that something's wrong. Like, for instance, I had my brother-in-law passed away in April, and he had pancreatic cancer, and that was a struggle for me. Every time I hear cancer, it's just a struggle for me, just to hear it, and it brought up so many emotions when I heard that, and just hearing it. But I think the key for us is to make sure that we're getting ourselves checked out, and to make sure that we're listening to our body. And once we go through, if we do get a diagnosis of cancer, once we're able to, taking care of ourselves. Because I can tell you, I know people that went through it the first time that I went through it, that don't take care of themselves, and I'm not saying that I got bypassed from some illnesses that I could, but if you're not taking care of yourself, I mean, you have to go the extra mile. You have to do extra things when you get a diagnosis like this. Like, you have to be careful what you're eating. You have to watch a lot of things. Like the last thing that my doctor was talking to me about is fatty liver.
Huh.
And
there's so many things that
they look at.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my goodness, can I just
stuff you don't even think about.
Yeah. So you have to watch what you eat. You have to watch your weight in the middle, and I'm a small person, but after you turn a certain age, you gain weight in certain places that you never knew that you could gain weight.
That little middle part is like,
yeah. So,
and you're right about that, because I think I might have been saying it during the break. I don't know if I said it after the break or not, but since we've been back online, I'm not sure. But one of the things I did, as soon as I found out that I had breast cancer, I reached out to my sisters, who are my biological sisters. We don't share the same mother, but we share the same father. And the first thing I wanted them to know, not for them to be afraid, but for them to get checked, because it doesn't run in my family. And I did not want them, even though we have not grown up together necessarily and that kind of thing, so we don't necessarily know family history, diseases and whatnot on either side. They may know. I don't know that much about my biological family medical issues on my dad's side. I know what's going on my mom's side, but I did not, the word says we perish for a lack of knowledge. That's not just the knowledge what the Bible says.
That's right.
It's everything. I've found, by being a medical social worker and working in the medical field, I have just found that if doctors only answer the questions that you ask.
That's right.
If you don't know what questions to ask, you don't know, they don't know what answers to give. There's just so much information, and it's such an overwhelming experience that there's no way to keep track of that. I know that my doctor went over my PET scan and all of that after I had my breast removed, and how you go back. I know when they take the cancer out, they send it to pathology, they do all the testing and all that stuff. I know that we went over that pathology report. But for some reason, it was like hearing it for the first time when I had my oncologist go over it. We just went over it earlier, either latter part of last year or earlier this year, for some reason, because I had been falling. There's and for those who've been with me, they know. In fact, I just preached 2 Sundays ago, and I fell. While I'm up right at altar call, I fell off the stage at church.
Oh, no.
And for those people who've known about me falling before, well, in my mind, all I could think of is that, oh my God, I hadn't fallen probably in 2020. I don't think I've fallen, but in 2019, I was falling a lot. Well, I hadn't fallen. And then here I'm up preaching the word of God, and I fall in front of the whole church. And, the enemy tries to tell you, oh, well, see, you're not healed. You're not this. You're not that. Well, I laid on my back and I prayed even more. And I continued what I was doing while I was hurting on my back. But here's the thing. My doctor had already ordered a brain scan. So I was supposed to have that today at 3:00. And this goes along with what we're saying. They're always looking for something. Now, there's an upside to that. I would rather they find out quickly where it could be taken care of rather than letting it go way, on and on and on when it's to that point. We have to not, there's this unfortunate thing of how we've learned to view faith in the body of Christ. Faith does not cancel out facts.
Right.
The fact of it remained that I had breast cancer, you had breast cancer. Now, breast cancer didn't have to have me, and that's where the faith came in. I believe God just as you believe God. You get to a place where you don't have nothing else but the word. And that's where the rubber meets the road. When they tell you something like that, where it's
That's
in
when you
your
put your
face.
faith to action.
Oh yeah, you have no choice. That's when you find out what's really on the inside of you. When you hear something, whether it's cancer, whether it's divorce, whether it's your child's on drugs, whether it's sickness, finance, whatever that thing might be. When it comes down to those facts, you either gonna apply the faith, which is faith cometh by hearing, and hearing, the word of God. You don't have a choice. That's where you'll know what's on the inside of you, when you have to face that thing. Jesus knew everybody has a Gethsemane experience. Yeah, you lay down, you want to cry for a minute. Even Jesus was like, Father,
take this cup. Yeah.
I'm gonna be obedient, but I sure, you can change your mind right here.
That's right.
Even Jesus did that. So why do we feel like we got to be super saints? And when we're not open in that nakedness, I often say when I'm up ministering, Tanya, when those labor pains come, you don't care who see you naked.
Right.
When the pains come, you will disrobe. You really don't care. If you snotting in front of people, if you got to lay out, roll all over, you really
you
don't
do what you
care.
have to do.
You do whatever you got to do to find relief. For me, I'm not even a writer, but me expressing myself, and the Lord just started opening up some things that I didn't even know was there during my journey. So I started sharing my real talks. And it started really with you sharing what you were sharing on Facebook. When you were ready to share and disclose and let people know.
Yeah, I think
tell your story.
I think that's when I made the free. I think that's when I made the free and worship fight page.
Yeah, I remember.
I think that's when I made that page, and that's when I came out with my story. But it's like you were. I can't hear you now.
Don't tell me I'm gone again.
Okay, now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. But anyways, that's when I made that page, and that's when I started sharing. I had already been making the baskets and everything, but I wanted to go back to what you were saying about how you wanted your sisters to get checked out.
Yes.
That's key too. And the funny thing is, like, my sister got checked. We did the BRCA test.
Yeah.
The gene test. And the funny thing about that is my gene test didn't come back as positive, even though my mom had it. So my breast cancer was not related to, I didn't get it from my mom. My sisters didn't come back.
People are, there's not enough education on that, because long time ago, that's kind of how we thought. If your mom had it, then you were
have
concerned about it. But it's not really like that anymore.
Nope. No. It's so much that they can do.
Like, how did you end up with breast cancer?
Right. But
I did encourage my sisters to follow up, because I didn't want them to be blindsided with anything like that. And oftentimes, Kim and I, we talk about this all the time, these secrets. Black folks like to keep too many secrets. We are terrible about that. I think our generation, we're doing better about it. But for some reason, there was a lot of shame, and I don't know really what. I'm assuming it was about shame. So,
but even
educate us about our bodies and all of that, because we just didn't talk.
Because they didn't talk about it.
No.
Yeah, and even with us Christians, Black Christians, like you were saying, we'll act holier than thou.
Yeah.
And act as if we can't go to the doctor, or we can't talk to somebody about that, or we can't go to counseling because we're a Christian, and that's just not true. God created those people and those line of work for us to have that, and we get that wrong. Our people, we get that wrong.
Yes.
Because the doctors are there for us. The counselors and therapists are there for us, and we won't go. And we'll just say, oh, God will take care of me. Yeah, God's going to take care of us, but how many times has God told you in the back of your mind, I need you to go see that counselor. I need you to go to that therapist. There's something going on with you. You need to go see the doctor.
Well, that's because in our culture, we've made it taboo because we don't want people to know our business. And I mean,
Right.
Kim, yeah, that's it. You know, you hitting Kim right about now, because this is a big thing. You know,
Yeah.
what do we say, Kim? You need Jesus and a
therapist.
and a therapist. You know, and maybe if we did more of that, we'd actually see some change in the body of Christ. We'll actually see people
Right.
get healed for real and stop cycling. We'll stop, you know, I always say broke people break other people. Maybe we'll stop breaking each other if we
Right.
actually told the truth and say,
Right.
I'm struggling, can you help me?
Right. And the bitterness that comes from that, because you're not going to get the help that you need. It destroys, you know? So
Yeah.
it's so important. So important that
It
we do
is.
both.
And, you know, and this, I know we're talking about breast cancer awareness, but women, when Ann, for those of you all who know Ann was an open book when she went through her cancer journey. She's moved back to Indiana now with her family, but Ann will talk about how she did a lot of research about the origins of cancer, not just the medical stuff, but the psychological part of it and spiritually.
Oh my
And
goodness,
the
yes.
spiritual connectedness about breast cancer in particular.
Right.
You know, those of us who carry all of that stuff on the inside
Right.
are more apt to develop cancer. And the whole spiritual component, and like you
Right.
talked about, the anger, the bitterness, the hurt, and all
Right.
of those emotions, you know, display stuff and all the secrets and the trauma. You
Right.
know, Kim
And-
does
and-
very good teaching about trauma. And,
And what
not
does
just
that do?
about being raped and all that kind of stuff.
When we
It's a
hold that
really good
in,
teaching that she does.
what does
What'd you
that
say?
do? I said, what does that do when we hold it in? One of the main factors of cancer is stress.
Oh yes, it will breed
And
it.
yeah, and I had to learn. I had to learn that.
Yeah, but see, these are the things about this stuff in the body of Christ. You know, because we were like, if you shout it out enough and you cry enough at the altar, everything would be all right. Well, you know what? It's fine in the moment while you're doing it, and sometimes you just end up with a headache. Nothing changes. You still feel, you know, we come to
Right.
church and we do all of this and we go home feeling the same way. And we'll even confess the word and all of this, but we're not seeing any change because
Right.
we don't have that
No.
person to guide us. You know, people are not willing to help us walk through a process. And if you tell people really how you feel, then we're getting better about it with validating the person. And you know, and that doesn't mean that they don't love Jesus. You know, it's a process.
Right.
And just being honest with people about the process. The process is, it's not always the A and the Z. It's the B all the way through. And how we walk through
The
that
B to the Z.
process is what matters. Because that is what's going to help somebody else. And, you know, by you creating your page, that helped me. Because then I said, okay, well,
Yeah.
I saw her live out loud. So when it happened to me, I reached out to her because she had already walked the path. Not that she didn't even know when she sent me that basket. Just that preparation was going to be the whole beginning
Right.
of the rest of my life. You didn't know
Wow.
that.
No,
You
I
had
didn't.
no idea by
I didn't.
sending that basket, how that created, it opened up the floodgates for me to walk through this out loud from day one, almost from day one, honestly. I never kept it a secret. And it started with the things in the basket that you sent, the pictures that I took of it, and I would post, and I just
Right.
start to write a little bit about that. And then you started, and then other people started following suit.
Right.
People start bringing me things, and I would utilize, and God would speak to me about a pen, speak to me about a cup. I mean, you just never know
The different
what God
things.
is going to do. But that was the whole beginning of the whole girl shine, and why I didn't whine. Instead, I shine.
One of the things, and I know we're probably just about out of time,
Yeah,
but one of the things that cancer caused me to do is to be able to say no. A lot of times we don't take care of ourselves. We don't take care of ourselves because we're always trying to take care of other people, and we're always trying to say yes to other people. And one of the things that it caused me to do is remind me that I have to take care of me, and that it's okay to say no. It's okay that I move on. It's okay that I realize that, you know what, some of these situations that I'm in, some of the people that I'm around, maybe they don't fit in this mold, and not disrespecting people, and not,
I get it totally.
But it really made me realize that it's okay to say no. It's okay to take some time for me. So it really changes you.
It does. It changes you forever. I know it's changed me forever. The things that used to matter don't matter anymore. And that coupled with turning 50, I just so happened to have my breast removed 1 month and turn 50 the next. There's just something about it. The thing I just don't.
We're a year apart. We were a year apart from our diagnosis. I think. Yeah. I think we were a year apart. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And the saddest part about this whole thing is, just in our church, it was just like it was hitting one after another for a minute, and we were like, "What in the world is going on?" But the
what's in the water?
About that, I'm the only person that I can think of that actually had to have chemo and radiation.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, and that's what I'm saying. And having the HERS2 positive kind, which used to be an automatic death sentence. You knew if you had that, you weren't going to last long. But I thank God for therapeutics. It was a game changer. And like I said, they've made lots of strides, in breast cancer research, and they're constantly coming up with new therapies and different things.
Right.
But I appreciate you sharing, going before me and being victorious and being open when you were ready to do that, because like I said, you just never know whose life you are changing. You never know what kind of impact you are having on someone else. And that's really what good leadership is supposed to be. That's what we mentor people, and we don't even know whose lives we are affecting, which is why I'm doing this show, because I want people to know that there's life after whatever you got going on. There's life after.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for coming on tonight, Tanya, and even supporting. I know you hop on when you can, and I appreciate that. And we celebrate our sisterhood. I appreciate Kim being on every week and holding it down when I get kicked out, because for some reason I'm getting kicked off my own show. I don't know if that's something, I don't know what God is doing. Maybe he kicking me into something else. I don't know, because I keep getting kicked off every week. But the truth of the matter is, we just want people to learn how to shine and not whine. Because like I said, whining doesn't change anything. But when we start shining through our situations, the enemy can't stop your glow. That's one thing he can't do. He can put all kinds of obstacles out to try, but at the end of the day, he doesn't win unless we allow him to.
Yes.
So you're in control of your illumination. You have all control over that. And so
don't let anyone dull your shine.
Yeah, shine through. You were shining with your bald head, and so I rock mine. I didn't wear a wig. My stylist was like, "Well, I'll make."
Hey, I was having a bad hair day, so I had to do something.
Okay. But see, that's the thing. You have the option. You have choices, and you choose when you want to do something different.
That's right.
It's not dictated to you, and that's the beautiful part about this side of that life. Once you get on this side, you don't even care. You don't even care. You don't care about all that. So you do grow. And so I just want to encourage the ladies to continue to stick with us. Next week we've got Ansonia Burke. So if you didn't get your Iconic Leadership book, get it today. because she'll be talking about being an iconic leader next Tuesday night. And so for those of you all who are on it with us every week, remember praise.fm is the place to go. If you want to do your own show, reach out to Lady Rain. If you want to sponsor a show, reach out to Lady Rain. There's awesome people of God on every night of the week. All through the day, there's stuff on. In the mornings, Dr. Rain is on with prayer. And you can always keep it real here with us, Girl Shine Project, and I will see you next Tuesday night, same place, same time, except I'm going to be in the studio with Dr. Rain, so I will not be out next week. So praise the Lord, everybody, and we will see you all next week. Thank you, and I love you. And
love you.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Good night.
Bye.
Y'all.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Therapy notes.
Bye.
I gotta finish. See you next
Good
week.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.